Hey guys, this is Eckhart Slaughter. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars Legends lore video. Now today's content will be very short, but I think you guys will enjoy it, especially if you're a fan of the old Star Wars Rogue Squadron video games. So I just played through the original Rogue Squadron for the N64 for the first time in probably a decade. I think last week over on my second channel X2. And while playing the game and its sequel, I was really struck by the sheer absurdity of some of its levels. Some make sense or even fit quite well into the Star Wars Legends expanded universe. For example, the final mission sees you taking on world devastators as they attack Mon Calamari directly out of Dark Empire. Other missions have you liberating rebel prisoners or even Wedge Antilles, but some, including the mission we'll be discussing today, make no sense, and that's either the Alliance's purpose for the mission or the way that they're carrying it out, and the mission we'll be talking about today really exemplifies both of those features. Alright, so with the Battle of Fest, the Rebel Alliance's plan was to send a commando squad into an Imperial research facility where they would steal the incredibly valuable prize of, wait for it, 3 ATPTs. That's right, 3 all-terrain personnel transports. So ATPTs actually fit Rebel Alliance military doctrine quite well. They possess decent firepower and armor, but can be operated by just a single person. That being said, they're significantly less powerful than even an ATST or an AT-AT. All-terrain personnel transports by this point are also fairly ancient. The Alliance raid took place about a year after the Battle of Yavin, and the ATPT was first introduced during the Clone Wars, so we already have a very high-risk mission. Fest is an established research base with a military presence on the planet, including new XR-85 droids, AT-ATs, and more, and really the Alliance is making off with almost nothing. And when I talk about well fortified, I mean it. The base at Fest had a full shield generator, it had a series of locking gates, and it was protected by at least 3 walkers, a series of those XR-85s I mentioned, as well as several bomber squadrons. Stealing 3 relatively low-tier walkers is certainly not worth the risk of putting those commandos in danger, especially when the dropship, presumably, which would leave with the ATPTs, is probably more valuable than the walkers themselves. I think a better idea for this mission from a gameplay and story perspective would have been that the Alliance commandos were stealing plans for the ATPT so that the Alliance could then produce them on their own, and it just so happens that they were using the walkers to escape. Maybe too, because this was a secret Imperial base, the Empire was making modernization efforts, and that's what the Alliance was stealing as well. Anyway, of course the mission goes wrong. It seems like the Alliance's plan was to enter the base, then just walk out with the walkers. Of course that didn't work, and what results is a very, very difficult mission in the game, and an illustration of the futility of the Alliance's plan here. They immediately run into vastly more powerful AT-ATs and the other vehicles I mentioned, and if you don't play this mission perfectly as the Alliance, they will be wiped out almost immediately. So let's talk about the Alliance's plan. First of all, the rebels realistically should have just sacrificed those commandos. You know, the sunk cost by this point is fairly low, and it's really not worth risking Rogue Squadron just to save the lives of 3 men and 3 walkers, especially when the odds are so stacked against you and the Alliance is a very fragile organization at the best of times. That being said, the strategy employed here by the rebels, to be frank, makes absolutely no sense. So the Alliance goes in with the dual goals of protecting the escaping commandos and also destroying the military and research installations. What do they send in, you might ask? Something like a squad of Y-Wings protected by X-Wings maybe? Or a fleet which will perform precise orbital strikes? Well, no. They send in a squad of T-47 airspeeders, i.e. the snowspeeder we see in Episode 5. There's a lot of problems with this. First of all, the T-47 is an airspeeder. That means it can't operate in space. It uses repulsor lifts to keep itself off the ground, and, you know, there's no ground in space. So you can't launch T-47s from a cruiser into the vacuum, unlike what we see in the mission's intro, and at the very least, you'll need some way to get them to the planet's surface. In Dark Empire, the New Republic has a sort of barge system for their V-Wings because those are also airspeeders, but I don't really know what they would have done at Fest. Either way, starfighters would have been a much better option for this mission, not only because they can be inserted more easily, and a hyperspace-capable vessel can, leave on its own, but also because the T-47's loadout for this mission is just totally inappropriate. I mean, the T-47 is essentially a civilian craft with a couple of guns placed on it. I mean, the back gunner operates a harpoon. It's not looking great, and I mean, despite what we see in episode 5, there certainly is other ways to take out AT-ATs. I don't think they could survive a sustained bombing barrage from a Y-wing, for example. The mission has the dual purpose of getting in quickly and destroying a lot while protecting precious cargo. The T-47 just can't do that. This is especially true when it comes to the second stage of the operation, destroying the Imperial Research Center. Despite what the game shows you, it just would not be possible to do that with just the laser cannons of a snowspeeder. You would need proper ordnance, of which the T-47 has none. The snowspeeder also has a flight ceiling and is just totally unsuited for fighting off bombers and will in no way be able to protect the Y-4 transport, which leaves the planet at the end of the battle. So I guess the Alliance's plan was to load everything up in that transport, then just outrun the TIE bombers and whatever else was stationed on the surface. I don't know, it's not really a great strategy. All in all, even from a video game standpoint, this mission makes no sense and is certainly one of the Alliance's worst military operations in the entire Galactic Civil War. I mean, the Alliance certainly did have spectacular failures during the war, while this was unequivocally a success, but that's a lot of plot armor. I mean, even the first attack on the Death Star, where the rebels basically threw a Lucrehulk full of 500 X-Wings at the station, made more sense. In that case, the goal was extremely important, and the stakes were high, but it was worth it, and at least they tried to do something reasonably intelligent. However, that's all I've got for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this content. As always, you guys can go check out my second channel for Star Wars gaming content. I did the entirety of Rogue Squadron, including the Escape at Fest mission, which we talked about today. Until next time though, guys, have a good one, be safe, and as always, may the Force be with you.